Welcome to the H.E.A.L, Help, Elevate, and Learn podcast. This podcast is a guide to healing your inner child and maturing your inner adult. This is the place where we slow down, look within, and begin the journey of restoring what was lost, silenced, or forgotten. Here, we believe that healing the inner child is not about reliving the past, it's about rewriting your future. Together, we'll uncover the wisdom, strength, and the love you've always carried inside. So take a deep breath. You're safe, you're seen, and you're right where you need to be. Hello, everybody. How you doing today? This is Saucony Prince of SauconyPrince.com, where we make motivation personal, introducing you to yourself. And I am super excited to welcome you to the H.E.A.L podcast. H.E.A.L is an acronym for Help, Elevate, and Learn, and it's based on my latest book with the same title, but the subtitle is It's a Guide to Healing Your Inner Child. And I'm so excited to be able to bring these broadcasts to you every week because I know that somebody's getting help from the information that we're sharing. And I know that our guest today, our special guest, is going to share some amazing information that's going to change your life. But before we get to our guest today, we have to thank our sponsor, none other than BetterHelp. This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen and give you helpful, unbiased advice. First, you go to their site. You can use my link, betterhelp.com/SauconyPrinceH.E.A.L. You answer a few questions, and BetterHelp will match you to a professional who's had years of experience helping people with struggles just like yours. You can do it all from your phone or your computer, via a phone call, a video chat, or messaging. However you feel most comfortable, it is the easiest possible way to start talking to a therapist. You'll be matched to a therapist usually within 48 hours, so you can get started fast. Let BetterHelp connect you to a therapist who can support you all from the comfort of your own home. Visit betterhelp.com/SauconyPrinceH.E.A.L. or choose Saucony Prince H.E.A.L. during your sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month. And we want to thank BetterHelp for being a sponsor of this amazing episode. Well, listen, without further ado, I want to bring up our guest for today, none other than Miss Marcia Joyner, who is a licensed practicing counselor. Marcia, introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Marcia Joyner. As Saucony has said, I am a licensed professional counselor here in the Mobile area. I have been working in mental health now for 26 years. Yes, long time. I hope I don't look as old as I feel sometimes. But however, back to what I was saying. I started working with at-risk teens. And from there, I went on to working with adults. And with the adult population that I worked with, I also worked with those who are not guilty by reason of insanity or mental defect. So from there, I began to work in the jail system. And in the jail system, I worked there for 12 years. Now I work in the prison system currently. And in the prison system, what I work with and who I work with are my clients, of course, who have issues from substance abuse, mental health disorders, family issues, the whole gamut. Depression, anxiety, separation anxiety, generalized anxiety as well. So working with them, I get to use all the skills I've learned over the years, as well as do some private practice, where in private practice I work with children, families, couples, adults, and we run the gamut of all type of issues in there as well.
Okay, all right. Well, I am so excited to know all of that information about you. And I know you've been holding out on us. I didn't know you were all like that with them big guns. But hey, yeah. Well, listen, we are so excited to have you, and we know that you're going to share some information that's going to be so helpful to us today. So let's hop into some of these questions here, because the first one that we have for season 2 now, this one says, what does maturing your inner adult mean to you, and how has that shown up in your personal journey?
Okay. Well, let me take a moment, as I would tell my clients, take a moment, think about the question, and then respond.
Okay, while you're thinking about that, I'm gonna pop this comment up. That's your
Okay.
good friend Yolanda. She says, "Welcome, Marcia."
Thank you, Yolanda.
All right, all right.
All right. So, maturing your inner adult to me means that you're actually learning how to respond to life with, with
Okay.
intention instead of reaction. So, what I mean is, instead of being reactive like a child would be when you have an argument or when you have an issue come up, instead of jumping to this is what I have to do, as an adult, you take the moment, you take the time out to think about what you're going to say, what your response is going to be, instead
Yeah.
of just running straight into something. So instead of running into the fire, you think about a plan of how to um, to distinguish it.
Right.
So that's being an adult. That's entering into that inner adult self. Now, what does it look like? It looks like choosing peace over chaos. It looks like thinking before acting. It looks like taking those peaceful steps instead of running straight into a fire. Like I said, instead of running into the burning bush, you're trying to run back from it. You're trying to take that step to think about it before you act. In my personal life, I've used that to diffuse situations, to diffuse arguments, instead of just being reactive and saying everything that comes to my mind without thinking it clearly, without thinking it through. I take a moment. I take a step back, think about what's being said to me, think about what's being done to me, and then respond accordingly. And if sometimes that may mean removing people from your life that are
Mm,
that you feel aren't serving you, removing situations that aren't serving you,
right.
making that step, taking that leap, if you will.
Right. Well, I oftentimes tell people that we don't have first reactors. We have first responders.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that they have prepared themselves for a number of situations and scenarios. And as individuals, it would be helpful if we did that even in our own life, because if every time something happens, you have a reaction, reaction may not be the best thing, and
Yeah,
it may not serve you well. And so knowing that situations can arise and that will come, that inner adult has to be willing to step up, take the reins, take control, and actually in an intelligent way address the situation.
exactly. And you also have to be understanding of yourself and know sometimes your inner child is going to win out. Sometimes you're gonna step on that. You're gonna step on that bud and say, "Ooh, I shouldn't have reacted like that. I shouldn't have done that," and then think about it later. Sometimes
Yeah,
that will happen. We have to be willing to give ourselves that grace to understand
yes,
that at all times we're not going to always do the right thing. We're not going to
right,
always think it through. I
right.
just talked about this today, actually, in a group I had when
Mm,
one person was saying, "Well, what do I do when I'm around this and I can't take it any longer?" First, you're going to think about it. And then if you
mm-hmm,
can't take that moment out to think about it, or you don't take that moment, you choose not to take that moment. When that happens, you have to take that step and take accountability for your actions.
yeah.
To say like,
And so,
well, I know I messed up this time, but this is what I meant to say, or this is how I meant to react. Next time
right,
I'll do better. So giving yourself that grace to understand that sometimes we're gonna mess up, but we don't have to beat ourselves up about it. We just have to move forward. As adults, that's what we do. When we were a
right.
child, we didn't necessarily do that. We didn't
That's
necessarily
true.
take that accountability for it and say, well, I was wrong in that situation. 9 times out of 10,
Well,
we said, oh, well, let me keep going. Let me keep moving on. I'm sorry. My bad. And move on about it. But as adults, what we have to do, we have to take that accountability and say, yeah, I messed up right there. I
yeah,
did that. And
yeah,
that's hard to say. You have to have that
yeah.
grace for yourself.
Yep, and that's what in fact Yolanda just posted. Yes, grace for ourselves, and that is so so true. We have to be willing to extend to ourselves that same level of grace we would extend to a good friend. And I tell people all the time that you can be your own best friend or your own worst enemy.
Exactly. That's it
And
right there.
so you have to be able to equip yourself for success. And that means not being so hard on yourself, because some people will beat themselves up. And I know that was me, but I've learned to not be so critical of myself and in fact, give myself the level of grace needed to be able to actually make a difference and make a change.
And that's the only way you can once you give yourself that ability. And it takes
Right.
time to get there. It's not something that we run into immediately. It's not like I just woke up one morning and I said, "Ooh, today I'm going to give myself grace." No, I wish even as a counselor that I had that ability to say that. Ooh, it just happened overnight. It didn't. I had to grow into that. It
Right.
takes time. Just
That's
because we're
true.
chronologically an adult doesn't mean that we are mentally. So it takes us time to get to that point, and we have to be
Okay.
willing to that.
Well, now, in fact, that brings us to our next question,
Mm-hmm.
which says many of us carry unhealed parts of our childhood. What are some signs that your inner child is still in control of your decision making today?
Okay. Well, some signs could be constantly seeking validation when you're seeking
Okay.
approval from others. If we're always seeking somebody else's approval, generally we do that as children. We say, "Oh, mommy, look what I did," or "Oh, daddy, look how I did this," or "Oh," we tell our big sister, big brother, our friend, our teacher, "See, I brought you
Mm,
this, I gave you this," because we
right.
want them to approve of us. Once we get to the point where we're not doing that any longer, we're growing past ourselves. We're growing past that child in us. But once we stick in that point, that's where we still are. Are your difficulty having boundaries set? Because children don't have any boundaries generally. They're just kind of like go with the flow. Okay, yes, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm doing this right now. You can tell a child several times, "Hey, this is where we stop at. This is what you need to stop doing. Don't do this. Don't do that." They push that envelope a little further each time.
Right.
Well, as an adult, we can't necessarily do that. We don't stop and say, "Oh, I can't do this. No, I can't." You gotta have to take that moment out to stop yourself and say,
Mm.
"Okay, I can't do that anymore. I can't act like that any longer."
I
Sometimes,
can't. Wait. So you telling me I can't eat all the ice cream? I have to leave some?
no, not all the ice cream. We have to stop at some point. We gotta push ourselves.
Okay.
We're gonna not do it. Doesn't mean that we're not gonna have that bowl of ice cream when we want it, but we gotta know I can't eat the whole bucket of ice cream and I think I'm gonna feel great the next day. No, we're gonna wake up. First off, we're not going to even sleep through the night anymore. It's gonna,
That
it's gonna
part.
cause us some problems. The things we used to
Right.
do, we can't do any longer.
That's
It's the
true.
same as like me going to work out and I know I feel bad. I walk through the door, my trainer sees me and is like, "No, go home. You don't need to be
Mm,
here. You
mm,
won't be lifting any weights today. No, you can't. It's not right." I may want to push myself and say, "No, I'm gonna push myself through," but reality is I'm gonna mess up. I can injure myself, harm myself if I continue to do the same things I did when
mm.
I was younger. Can't do it
Right.
all. And we have to be accepting of that. Know our limitations. That's the
Right.
difference. When you don't know your limitations any longer, you're a child. Children do everything. If you
You
tell
know
them don't,
what?
hmm?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I say if you tell
Mhm.
them not to, well, like not to climb a tree, 9 times out of 10 you're gonna turn around. What they're gonna be doing? Climbing the tree.
Climb the tree.
We're gonna be scared, like, oh, they're gonna fall, they're gonna hurt themselves. They're at the top of the tree, like, look what I did. You thought I couldn't do it. Ha ha ha. But as an adult, if I went outside right now and said, I'm gonna climb this tree, no, you're gonna visit me in the hospital? That's what's gonna happen. So we have to ask ourselves these kind of questions.
Right. Well, somebody got jokes because the wife said he'll try to eat it all. No, I'm not trying to eat it all. See, see, she. Okay, all right, okay. We're gonna have her on here pretty soon. All right, all right, all right. The next question is: how can someone begin to recognize the difference between reacting from their inner child and responding as their mature adult self?
Okay. I'm gonna use a statement to do that one. Like your inner
Okay.
child may say, they ignored me, I must not matter. The adult you is saying, they may be busy, they didn't have time, or maybe they just didn't want to talk right now. So that's two different reactions to the same question or the same issue.
Right.
Whereas the inner child is, like I said, they're focused more in on how to validate themselves. So they're focused more in on they didn't respond to me. They didn't come to me like I thought they should have. The
Mm-hmm.
adult self It's going to be more like, we both got a lot going on. Right now is maybe not the right time to talk. We'll talk later. If it's
Right.
not today, it's tomorrow. Just think about it with your best friends. A lot of times when you're a child, you talk to your best friend every day. As
Yeah.
an adult, you may talk to them every couple of weeks.
Right.
You may go months without talking, but still, that's still your best friend. And you still
Yeah.
know, as soon as I call, or if I send them a text message, send an email, whatever the case may be, I'm gonna get a response. It may
Right.
not be as quickly as you want it, but it's coming. So
Right.
you have faith in that. Whereas as a child, it's like you need immediate gratification. But as an adult, you don't have to have that as much.
You know, I asked this question to there was someone that was on the podcast earlier this year, and her response was, I mean, honestly, the most intuitive one that that I've gotten so far, because the question talks about, uh, you know, how can you tell the difference if you're reacting as your inner child or responding as your inner adult self? And what she said was, she said, well, it's not one or the other, but it's both. And I said, okay, can you explain? Can you break that down? She said, well, normally, in fact, the first reaction is an emotional one. It is a, they didn't text me back, they didn't answer my call, there's an emotional, in fact, reaction. But then she says, and well, in fact, that's the inner child. But then the inner adult has to step up and start the reasoning and start to actually go through that whole thing, even like what you listed. In fact, we're busy. We need to coordinate. When we were in high school or in college, we could just hit each other up, go do this and go do that. But now, things have to be planned out. And as she was talking, the only thing I could think of was the buzzword that's been used today, which is emotional intelligence, because the reacting part is the emotional, but the intelligent part is where you actually reason about what the situation is.
Exactly.
And yeah, and that's in essence where what you just said about, you have a reaction or a response. And so knowing that about ourselves is what really allows us an opportunity to truly develop and truly grow. Being able to evaluate ourselves on that level really allows us a chance to see, are there areas that I need to mature in,
Mm-hmm.
or am I just reacting all the time? Or even if my reactions aren't outward, if they're inward, if I'm seething on the inside and I'm just upset and I'm mad, well, okay, that still raises my blood pressure. I don't know about, I mean, although I'm not yelling and screaming and slamming stuff, but I am having a reaction
Mm-hmm.
from my emotions instead of a response from my intelligence.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
it. That's it in a nutshell. It's just understanding the differences between yourself. That's why I
That,
said it
yeah.
comes from your child. You're gonna be a child first. And
Yeah.
no matter what it is, if it's something, even if it's an argument that you know I'm gonna win this argument, you go in with that being your battle. You go
Right.
in, you go in saying, this is what I know. This is how I know this. This is what's gonna happen. You're not listening to that other person's argument to say, well, here's another way of looking at that. No, it's all about, I know what I'm thinking. I know how I'm reacting. I know what's going to happen. This is what's going to go down. Then, if you think about it after the fact, you're like, well, they did have a point. I see what their point was, but
Right.
I
Yeah.
wasn't willing to let that in right then. That's the inner child.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
inner adult is that intelligent part that's thinking later, like, oh, maybe I should have listened more
Yeah.
because, well,
Yeah.
they were right. We
Yeah.
don't take that time out. A lot of times even as adults, we don't take that time out to think the
Yeah.
things before we say them or act on it.
And
It's just,
I think if we could shorten that time of reflection to being in the moment,
mm-hmm.
as opposed to, okay, 2 days later, yeah, he was right, or yeah, she was right. But
Mm-hmm.
if we could bring that part of ourselves into the moment instead of instead of handing the keys to our 5-year-old self and say, okay, look, you
You
drive the
drive,
car.
right? You drive,
Right,
right?
right,
You know you're gonna hit a
right.
tree. Then you're gonna hit something. You
Knocking
might hit,
over mailboxes and everything.
right. You're gonna knock over
Yeah.
everything. But we don't do that. A lot of
Yeah.
times, I think it's because of the way society is now. We
Hmm.
don't have that moment of take a breather,
Right.
take a moment. We have hurry up and get to the next spot. Okay, this is my plan for the day. I got a whole plan. If I deviate from it a little bit, that's okay, but I can't deviate all the way. I
Mm.
can't say, "Ooh, I only did 2 things on my list of 8 today." That's a failure. We don't see that as that's progress
Right.
because
Right.
doing none would have been a failure, but doing 2 is progress. We don't get that point. We get to the point where we have to do it all right now, immediately. It has to happen right now. That's where
Yeah.
we live. That's where our thoughts are. So when our thoughts are like that, we stay in the inner child. We
Mm.
stay as a child for longer because we haven't grown to the point where we can say, "Oh, I'm over here now. Okay. Oh, I did these 2 things. Now I only have to do 6 more." And guess what? It's 7 days in a week. I want to rest on one of those days. I'm gonna take Sunday. I'm gonna rest. I'm not gonna do anything. So that means I can do 2 on Monday, 2 on Tuesday, 2 on Wednesday, 2 on Thursday, 2 on Friday, 2 on Saturday. We don't look at it like that. We look like I have to have it all done on Monday. If I don't have it done by the time I go to bed on Monday, then I have failed myself.
Right.
And I'm not going to
Right.
pick it up again. But guess what? It's still going to be there. It's piling
Yeah.
up because of the
Yeah.
fact that we didn't try to figure out a new plan, a new way of thinking. So we have to ask, even with your question, it still comes back to the fact that we have to ask ourselves, when are we willing to let go
Right.
and to release ourselves to say, hey, this is okay. This is a start. Everybody has a start. You don't run a race without starting.
That's true. That's true. So listen, our next question says, in your experience, what role does forgiveness of self and others play in the healing and maturing process?
Oh, okay.
You
Whew.
gotta take a break. You gotta take a break
I guess I
again.
can. Whew,
Take a
okay.
breath.
Okay, I'm ready. So forgiveness plays a huge role because it in healing and in emotional maturity because it helps release the emotional weight that keeps us down. So if we
Mm.
don't forgive ourselves, first and foremost, you have to forgive yourself for things because if we can't forgive ourselves, we can't forgive anyone else.
Right.
We learn with ourselves first. We're our
Yeah.
first tutor. So if I don't know how to forgive me for when I make a mistake, how in the world can I forgive someone else? They may not have even slighted me or thought they slighted me.
Right.
Here
Right.
I am holding a grudge, and not only am I holding a grudge against them, I'm holding a grudge against myself. So once
Right.
we hold those grudges in and we don't forgive, we make it more difficult for ourselves in any relationship that we have. It can be a friendship, it can be colleague to colleague, but we are holding ourselves, we're not holding ourselves accountable for anything. It goes back to accountability
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
validating your own feelings, emotions. You have to be able to forgive in any relationship that there is.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. And my wife, she says, "What if we to stop to think first?"
Well, if we stop to think first, a lot of things that we go through, we wouldn't. That's just basically it. We wouldn't go through a lot of stuff that we go through.
That's
However,
good.
we just don't do that all the time.
Yep. That is so
Sometimes we plow through like we are just on 10. We can't
yeah.
help it. We just like, I'm on the highway. I got to place my foot on the gas. I don't care. That sign says 70. That is a suggestion. I need to get to where I got to go.
That's a
So,
recommendation.
right, it's a recommendation. That's not real. They don't mean that. They just sped past me. They were going 90. So I know they're not talking to me when they say 70. What? No.
That's for everybody else, right?
Right, that's everybody else. I'm going with the flow of the traffic. So if the traffic is doing 85, then I'm doing 85 too. And if I go a little bit above that, it's okay because I just saw the cop go a little bit further. So if he can do it, I can do it too. So therefore, we are already saying, I'm not abiding by the rules.
Yeah.
That sign is there, but that is not a sign for me. That is a suggestion or recommendation. It does not really apply.
It didn't have your name on it.
It didn't have my name on it, so it's not mine. I don't own it. That's not me.
It's
Now,
not you.
when they pulled me over, I can't tell them that was a suggestion that y'all had made. I might say, I didn't even know. What happened? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I was in here praising. I had my praise and worship music on. I don't know what you're talking about. See, my hands are at 10 and 2.
You
That
gonna
would
ask
be
the Lord to pay this ticket. That's what they
right.
you better ask the Lord
As they write the ticket out. Well, I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying, but here you go. Here is your ticket.
Here you go.
Because you said I clocked you at 92. So here's your ticket. Be blessed. All right.
Be blessed. Be blessed.
They're gonna keep on moving. So we have to be not just comical, but we got to be real with ourselves. That's what it boils down to. It really boils down to us being real with ourselves. Taking that accountability and being real with yourself is one of the main things when you're dealing with your inner adult. Inner child, nah, we're just gonna do what we're gonna do. Rules are not made for us. That's a suggestion. Mom and dad gave us suggestions growing up. And I'm still believing that those are all suggestions. Those weren't the rules of the house. Those was the suggestions that they gave me. I'm hold on to that to the day I go. That was a suggestion. They said be home at 10. I came in 10:30. It was okay. Next time, 11. Oh, I'm gonna push it a little further. Maybe I came in at 12. Mom, dad might have been upset. But then at the same time, they may not have been even awake. They don't even know. So what they don't know, don't hurt. So hey, I'm gonna keep doing it my way.
We got Ring cameras now, so
right, Ring cameras now, so you can't do that.
They're gonna be like this. See, this was I saw you when you walked in.
I saw this. Yeah. I might not have been awake, but I saw it. Or either they're so smart that they know how to turn off the Ring camera and change it. So then he's like, well, dog, I don't know. I feel like you came in later. Now, when I was growing up, my dad would just put his hand on the car. It was like, it's hot. It shouldn't be hot. Why is it hot? I get home at midnight. You're supposed to be here 2 hours ago. Your car should not still be hot. Why is it still hot? What could I say?
Or just be sitting on the side of your bed. You know, you be sitting on the side of your bed.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. I just didn't feel like going to sleep yet. That's all. you know?
Is this trying to try? Just trying to try a lesson in lying? Is that what
right. and for that, what did I get? Give me those keys. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. No.
Consequences.
Why? It's consequences for every action. For every reaction, there's an action, and for every action, there's a consequence. So we have to ask ourselves, what kind of consequences are you willing to take?
Yeah. Well, Yolanda, she says yes, no grudges, and I think that was in reference to the comment. Yeah, no grudges, grudges.
And we hold on to them sometimes.
Yeah, we definitely got to learn how to let that stuff go.
Yeah, it's not here.
Number 5. In fact, number 5 said, what practical daily habits or practices help nurture both healing the inner child and strengthening the inner adult?
Well, that would be, first I would start off with a self-check-in. That means doing a mental check-in with yourself in the morning. When you get up in the morning, do you say good morning? You might say, good morning, God. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for this day. Okay. I'm going to plan my day this morning, and this is what I want to accomplish. That's your self-check-in. Point blank simple. Saying, what do I need to do emotionally for myself? What do I need to do spiritually for myself? What do I need to do matter-of-factly for me? Those are the questions you ask yourself starting out. There's also journaling. Taking a moment out. And when I say journaling, I don't mean that you have to sit at your desk or sit somewhere and just write out everything. You don't have to do that. That's the misconception about journaling. Journaling means just free writing. It can come to you at any point of the day. It may be right before you go to bed at night. You might just say, oh, I had this thought all day. I need to write it down. I need to get this out from my mind. I need to release this. So you can plan out what's going on next for you. If it's something go ahead.
But what if you're a bad speller?
It's okay because it's just for you. So it doesn't
Okay, all
matter
right.
if you're a bad speller because
Okay, all right. Okay.
you're gonna know what it's talking about.
I done told on myself, but go ahead.
Okay. That will help as far as you can do healthy self-talk. So that means when you're feeling like I can't make it, instead of changing that around to say I can do all things through Christ. Um, it could be, say for instance, like I do weightlifting. So say for instance for me, I don't want to go up. I don't need to go up. Challenge myself to say, I know I can do it. If I can do this one, I can do that one. If I can do 80, I can do 100. It
Okay.
might take a little bit longer, but I can do it. So giving myself that self-talk to say, hey, push through. You got this. Move on to the next level. Do something better for yourself. So you move forward by doing those things. Replace I'm too much with I may not fit for everybody.
Mm,
Like if you've always heard, I don't like the way you do this. I'm not everybody's cup of tea. So you
okay.
just move it on. You switch it around. My feelings do matter. When you've heard your feelings don't matter, yes they do. Yours matter too.
Right.
So just giving yourself that same talk that you would give to somebody else. Being your
Gotcha.
own counselor.
Mm,
So that's what
okay.
can help with those. And then setting your own boundaries. Knowing
Mm,
what your boundaries are and not deviating from that, standing on those. Being clear with yourself. Like this is what I'm willing to accept, this is what I'm not. And if you find yourself deviating from that, calling yourself to the carpet to say, nope, I don't I don't want that in my life.
right.
That brings chaos. That brings frustration. That brings stress. Those are not things that I want. What I want is peace. I want calm. I want to be restored. I want calmness. I need these things. So therefore, I'm sticking with this. You can't align with that. Not for me.
Okay. Hey, listen, we have two more questions, but before we get to those, we want to hear a couple of words from our sponsor. So check this out.
Okay.
You've taken the first step. You've learned to heal. Now it's time to go deeper. The journey to maturity doesn't stop with awareness, it grows with action. In this powerful sequel to Heal, you'll uncover new strategies to elevate your mindset, strengthen your emotional resilience, and step fully into the adult you were always meant to be. This is more than a book, it's a blueprint for transformation. Are you ready to rise? The next chapter of your growth starts now. Available soon on Amazon. I am so excited to be putting my next book together and getting that ready for you guys. It's definitely going to be ready by the fall, but I'm telling you, it is going to be worth the wait. And listen, I do have one other thing. I am going to be speaking next month in Atlanta at the You Did That experience. Check this out.
Join us for the You Did That, the Motivation and Empowerment Conference, June 27th at the Convention Center Concourse, Atlanta, Georgia. This is a formal and black tie affair brought to you by the founder and host, Dr. Jai Johnson, along with featured guests and a phenomenal lineup of speakers and panelists. So get ready to be inspired, empowered, and elevated.
Early bird tickets are on sale now, so just visit youdidthatconferenceatl.com for details and information.
You Did That, the Motivational Empowerment Conference. Come get inspired.
And I am super excited to be speaking at that event. I am, for those of you who don't know, Atlanta was my stomping ground during college, and I'm definitely really looking forward to going back and actually just encouraging the individuals that are going to be there, that are going to be in attendance. One thing I learned about these events is that speakers encourage speakers and they learn from each other. So it's not just about the audience, but it's even those who are speaking with you. So I'm really looking forward to getting poured into and also pouring into the people that are there. All right, so we got two more questions. Then we're going to wrap this show up. Question number 6 says, can you share a personal breakthrough moment when you realize you were no longer controlled by past wounds, but guided by maturity?
Hey, let's see. Thinking back over my life. Well, I would say one for me was leaving a job that I had become comfortable in about a year ago, making that decision to leave and then stepping out on faith and moving and just releasing myself from that position to take on another. It opened up a lot for me. Actually, it changed the way I looked at myself career wise. And it also helped me to see exactly what I was holding on to back there. Because it really wasn't the position itself. It was more thinking, if I leave there, then I'll lose the friendships that I have. I'll lose the connection that I have, which I didn't. I actually gained more, and those same people I still have in my corner. I still have them with me. So I didn't lose anything. I just lost the stress, the anxiety, the frustration of that position, which was a good thing, which is very positive for a more relaxed, more calming situation now where it fits me better. It fits my life better. So helps me.
Good, good. I'm glad for you. And I am so thankful that you shared that, because there are a lot of people that are or feel like they're stuck in a certain position. They are afraid to make that type of commitment. And yeah, so understanding and realizing that about yourself is so important, because it allows you that opportunity for you to grow. I know so many people are so stuck in that position or stuck at that job or stuck in that relationship, and they are afraid to grow. They're afraid to move. They're afraid to do what's necessary in order for them to evolve. But I do want to applaud you for doing that, because, again, it allows you an opportunity to better yourself, less stress, but more impact. So that's what's so, so important. All right, our last question is, what encouragement would you give to someone who feels stuck in old patterns and unsure if real healing is possible for them?
First, I would say that healing is possible.
Okay.
And I would also tell them that I believe that even if it feels slow, messy, exhausting, invisible at times, but it's still there for you. It just takes your time to get to that point. And we have to understand that it's not microwavable. So it's not like you go into the microwave, putting in 1 minute. Instead, it is actually digging yourself out of the rut that you're in. And sometimes when you're digging yourself out the rut, you got to climb, you got to fall, and you got to continue to climb again. So it's not the easiest, but the reward is so much greater if you just take that step, that move towards getting there. So that's the big thing. It's just to start the process. If you never start the process, you can't make it. And you have to think about it in the form of like that you're the turtle, and and you're not the hare. So, and as a turtle, it's gonna take some time to get there. It took you time to get where you are, so it's gonna take you time to get out of where you're going. So to get going, it's gonna take time. Because nobody said, hey, I'm gonna eat all the ice cream, eat all the cakes, and I'm gonna stay 120 pounds. That's not gonna happen. That's not reality. That's not gonna happen. It's gonna take time to get back to that 120 from wherever you are. Whether it's 500, whether it's 200, whether it's 160, it's gonna take time to get back to that point. You can't speed it up. I mean, yeah, you can have a surgery, you can do all that, but guess what? You still got to have all that fat taken off your body. At some point, you got to do the work. So to put the work in, you got to do it.
And you learn to say, add some more weight.
Right, in a positive light. In a positive way.
Right.
It's not a negative add more weight, because somebody could be reading that and say, add more weight. Ooh, that means I go get some more fried chicken. No,
exactly.
She means go in there and bake some chicken. That's what you're going to have. You're going to smoke some chicken. You're going to bake it. No, you're not going to add the extra sauce to it. And then on top of that, you're going to have
sauce.
No. You're going to have some green salad. You're going to have some broccoli. You might have some corn over here, and you're going to have your water. Those are your key ingredients right there. So Think about it like that.
All I
Just
can
in order
say
for you
is, all I can say is, D. Thomas would be proud.
I'm sure she would be. She probably
She
would be
would
like,
be.
yes.
Yes, yes. Well, listen. If somebody wanted to follow you, if somebody wanted to connect with you, how could they do that?
On Instagram, you can reach me at MJSpeaks_08. And
Okay.
on Facebook, it is Marcia Lozette. So that's where you
Okay.
can reach me there. And Lozette is spelled Lozett.
Okay.
Marcia is Marcia. Marcia Lozett. That's how you can reach me on Facebook.
All right. Hey, listen, we want to thank you, Ms. Joanna, for taking time out to be on our podcast. And again, thank you for your insight, for your wisdom, and for you just sharing of your knowledge, because there are a lot of people that have a whole lot of knowledge that they don't want to share with everyone. And I remember, in fact, when I first started doing motivational speaking, in fact, there was a quote that said that their service is the rent we pay for living on the earth. And we owe it to our fellow man to be the best version of ourselves, not just for us, but for them as well. So again, thank you. All right, now for those of you who don't know, I do motivational speaking. I do personal development, leadership development, and as you can tell, excuse me, inner child healing. And I close out my podcast now with my brand new sizzle reel. So until next time, we'll see you later. Well, my name is Sakoni Prince of SakoniPrince.com, where we make motivation personal, introducing you to yourself. I help people in the area of personal development and leadership development, because I believe that you can't lead others until you learn how to lead yourself. But once you learn how to lead yourself, the next logical step is that you lead other people. Until you know who you are, anything can stop you. But once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. I'm a motivational speaker, a trainer, and a coach. I do what I do because I believe that people have truly yet to understand their purpose. Once you know who you are, nothing can stop you. But until you know who you are, anything can. So my goal is to really help people to understand their purpose and their calling. And oftentimes they have the answers themselves, but they're not asking the right questions. So I help people to get to that place to where they look at themselves, they step back and they see how they've been a help to those around them and what really drives them. And from that, they really understand the value of it. They learn to value their value and see what value their value brings. Because a lot of people, they have yet to do that. I want you to look at yourself. I want you to think about your limits. I want you can even hug them and embrace them. But then I want you to tell them goodbye. My 10-year-old son, he looks at me and says, Dad, I'm proud of you. I want you to understand that you are blessed. That you are blessed to be a blessing. That there is somebody looking
up to you. They're looking at you. Don't ever forget that. Because if you ever do, you're going to leave them without a mind.